Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to demystify the actual mechanics of modern global business operations and look at exactly how companies are using the internet to scale up with insane efficiency. Because let's be honest, if you've ever wondered how the brands you interact with every single day manage to literally be everywhere at once, offering around-the-clock support without just totally crumbling under their own weight, well, you are definitely in the right place. Put yourself in the shoes of a CEO for a second. You're trying to scale your company, right? How on earth do you handle overwhelming, massive demands without hiring an equally massive local workforce? Historically, if you wanted to grow, that meant hiring absolute armies of local staff, building these huge, sprawling headquarters, and taking on crushing overhead costs. But today? No way. That entire model has been completely flipped on its head. So today we're exploring the hidden architecture of the modern corporate world. Okay, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the digital business shift. Define what outsourcing actually is. Explore the world of BPO. Map out the geographies. Weigh the real pros and cons. And finally, look beyond BPO to KPO and LPO. Let's dive right in. Starting us off with Section 1, the digital business shift. We're talking about the massive leap from traditional storefronts to global networks. It's actually wild to look back and track just how rapidly the internet became this booming fourth channel for trade. For the longest time, you only had face-to-face, mail, and phone. Then, boom, in 1997, IBM officially coins the term e-business. Just 2 years later, in 1999, the major players realized the real big money isn't just selling to us consumers, it's businesses selling to other businesses, which we call B2B. Fast forward a bit to 2004, and U.S. online transactions are hitting somewhere between $3 to $7 trillion. Trillion! That wasn't just a tech upgrade, it was a fundamental shift in how human trade is done. And a lot of people confuse e-commerce with e-business. E-business isn't just about buying stuff online, that's e-commerce. E-business is the superset. It's the ultimate efficiency hack that makes seamless global data transfer an actual reality. It's the administration, the inventory tracking, internal communication, the logistics, the whole shebang, all running over the internet, intranets, and extranets. Honestly, without this invisible digital infrastructure, the global scaling we see today would literally be impossible. Moving right along to Section 2, what is outsourcing, or delegating to the specialists? So the whole idea here is pretty straightforward. By handing off non-core tasks, think security, sanitation, stocking the break room, companies can fiercely focus on their primary products. Imagine you run a cutting-edge software company. Your team shouldn't be wasting their precious time figuring out how to run a cafeteria or manage a roster of nighttime security guards, right? By formally contracting an outside agency whose entire world is security or catering, your software company gets way better service, usually at a much lower cost, and you can pour all your energy back into coding. That is outsourcing in its absolute purest form. Which brings us to Section 3, the world of BPO. Now we're really zooming in on these corporate strategies. BPO, or business process outsourcing, is essentially the engine of modern customer service. It's a specific subset of general outsourcing. So instead of just outsourcing the office janitorial work, a company looks at a massive, data-heavy peripheral process, like managing their HR, running payroll, or handling a massive customer care center, and they hand that entire process over to a specialized third-party service provider. Picture this. You have a bustling international corporate office, and they are contractually hiring an external third-party partner to come in and completely take over their routine customer service operations. With screens flashing and data moving globally, this is BPO in action. The external organization steps in specifically to minimize costs and boost efficiency. Because this third-party company specializes only in customer service, they already have the bleeding-edge software, the infrastructure, and the trained personnel locked and loaded. It's a total game changer. All right, Section 4, mapping BPO geographies. Where in the world actually is your partner? Let's translate these abstract corporate contracts into tangible borders and time zones. Imagine a spinning digital globe right now, highlighting 3 distinct operational circles. First up, we've got offshore. This is what most of us think of when we hear the word outsourcing, like a US company utilizing a huge center in India or the Philippines. Then there's onshore. This is where you keep the work in your own country. Maybe you want to avoid language barriers entirely, but you still save on infrastructure by using a specialist. And finally, nearshore. Think of a US company partnering with a firm right across the border in Mexico or Canada. much closer time zones, but still geographically separate. Let's look at Section 5, the pros and cons, because we need to talk about the stark reality of global outsourcing. It's a real balancing act, and it creates this sort of split-screen reality for a lot of customer care centers. On one hand, you have this utopian vision of cost-saving efficiency. The advantages are totally undeniable. You get optimum resource utilization, you bypass massive training costs, and you tap into this incredible global pool of highly educated professionals at highly competitive rates. But then, on the flip side, it directly clashes with human friction. You've got communication gaps, you've got the utter exhaustion of trying to coordinate online meetings across a 12-hour time difference. Plus, there is a very real, constant risk of losing tight control over your project's overall quality. And finally, Section 6, Beyond BPO, KPO, and LPO, the evolution of specialized outsourcing. So outsourcing isn't just about routine customer service anymore. Enter KPO, or Knowledge Process Outsourcing. This shifts the entire focus from basic, standardized processes to highly specialized, knowledge-based expertise. If BPO is about standardizing a repetitive task, KPO is literally about outsourcing brain power. We're talking about core information tasks, things that actually form an integral part of a company's value chain. It requires a massive degree of specialist expertise, advanced analytical skills, and real technical prowess. And then you have LPO, Legal Process Outsourcing. This takes things a whole step further. We are seeing major US and European legal departments outsourcing incredibly complex legal drafting and document review all the way to India at a significantly decreased cost. Think about that. Law firms can basically tailor their liabilities based on their current workload without carrying the insane overhead of a huge in-house legal team. They are literally tapping into a global network of highly educated lawyers to perform intensive research and draft briefings. It makes high-end legal support endlessly more flexible. When you compare them side by side, it perfectly captures this evolutionary leap. We're moving from outsourcing simple processes to relying on globally distributed, highly qualified professional minds. Notice the stark contrast here. BPO requires process expertise and good communication. It's generally less complex. But jump over to KPO, and suddenly the requirement shifts heavily to knowledge expertise. The talent pool moves from just solid communicators to professionally qualified workers handling incredibly complex tasks. This isn't just a budget cut anymore. It is a strategic, worldwide hunt for top-tier talent. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder as you look at the hidden mechanics of the businesses you interact with every single day. We've seen how e-business laid the digital tracks, how BPO shifted those routine tasks overseas, and now how KPO and LPO are relocating the very intellectual core of companies across the globe. As these boundaries just continue to blur and talent becomes entirely borderless, how is this going to reshape the economic future of tomorrow? Really think about that the next time you interact with a global brand. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.